The ship is not supposed to sink. Everyone told you that. The newspapers said it. The brochures said it. The engineers who built her said it, with the confidence of men who had never been wrong about anything in their lives. Unsinkable. That word is everywhere on this ship. And right now, at 2:17 in the morning, you are standing on a deck that is tilting at an angle that no deck should ever tilt. The lifeboats are gone. The water below is black and infinite and 4 degrees above freezing. And somewhere in the darkness around you, 1,500 people are beginning to understand that the most confident word in the English language was a lie. Part 1. Your ticket. Let's go back 4 days. You are standing on the dock at Southampton, April 10th, 1912. The air smells of coal smoke and salt water and something else. Possibility. Because the Titanic is not just a ship. It is a statement. The largest moving object ever built by human hands. 882 feet of steel and glass and ambition rising above you like a floating city. Your ticket determines everything about the next 4 days of your life. First-class passengers paid the equivalent of $80,000 in today's money for the privilege of crossing the Atlantic in floating luxury. Private promenade decks, a swimming pool, a gymnasium, a squash court, menus designed by the finest chefs in Europe. The Titanic's first class was not a ship cabin. It was a 5-star hotel that happened to be moving across the ocean. Second class on the Titanic was better than first class on almost any other ship afloat. Comfortable cabins, excellent food, a library, genteel company. The kind of crossing that a doctor or a teacher or a young couple starting their life in America might dream about affording. Third class, steerage, was where most people were. Immigrants mostly. Irish, Scandinavian, Eastern European. People who had sold everything they owned for a ticket to a new life in America. Their accommodation was basic. Their food was plain. Their section of the ship was separated from the upper classes by locked gates. Those locked gates will matter later. Which ticket do you hold? It will determine whether you live or die. Part 2. The Crossing. Warm, celebratory, the sound of people who don't know yet. The first 3 days are extraordinary. The ship moves through the North Atlantic with impossible smoothness. No rolling, no pitching. The engine so powerful and the hull so massive that the ocean simply parts for it without argument. Passengers who have crossed the Atlantic a dozen times remark that they have never felt anything like it. You eat meals you will remember for the rest of your life. The first-class dining saloon serves 10-course dinners. Oysters, consommé, poached salmon, filet mignon, roast duckling, lamb, chocolate eclairs. Wine poured by white-gloved stewards who materialize at your elbow before your glass is even half empty. In third class, the food is plain but plentiful. Soup, bread, boiled potatoes, porridge, better than many of the immigrants have eaten in months. Children run through the corridors. Men play cards. Women sit together speaking a dozen different languages united by the same dream. America. On the evening of April 14th, the temperature drops sharply. You notice it. Everyone notices it. But nobody is particularly concerned. Cold nights in the North Atlantic are normal. The stars are extraordinary. More stars than you have ever seen, blazing in a sky of impossible clarity over a sea of absolute calm. It is the most beautiful night you have ever seen. It is also the most dangerous. Because somewhere ahead in that beautiful darkness, 14 massive icebergs have drifted south from Greenland into the shipping lanes. The Titanic has received 7 iceberg warnings by wireless telegraph today. She has not slowed down. Part 3, 11:40 p.m. Silence. Then, a low grinding sound. You feel it before you hear it. A shudder. Subtle, like the ship cleared its throat. If you were asleep, and most of the 2,224 people on board are asleep, you might not even notice. Some passengers later describe it as feeling like the ship rolled over 1,000 marbles. Others say it felt like a giant hand running along the bottom of the hull. Lookout Frederick Fleet saw the iceberg at 11:39 p.m. and rang the warning bell immediately. It was 37 seconds too late. The iceberg opened a 300-foot gash along the ship's starboard side below the waterline. Not a dramatic collision, a quiet, almost gentle scraping. 6 compartments compromised. The ship could survive 4 flooded compartments. She was designed to survive 4, not 6. The mathematics of what happens next are precise and merciless. The Titanic has approximately 2 hours and 40 minutes from the moment of impact before she sinks. The temperature of the water is 28 degrees Fahrenheit, barely above freezing. A person in that water has between 15 and 45 minutes before hypothermia renders them unconscious. There are 2,224 people on board. There are lifeboats for 1,178. The ship is carrying 60% of the lifeboats she has room for. Do the mathematics yourself. Part 4. The night. The first hour is almost orderly. Officers wake passengers calmly. Stewards knock on cabin doors. The instruction is simple. Put on your life belt. Proceed to the boat deck. No panic in the voice. No urgency. First-class passengers emerge in their finest coats over their night clothes. Some carry jewelry. One woman refuses to leave her cabin because she has not finished her hair. A man returns to his room to retrieve a good cigar. The band begins playing on the deck. They will play for 2 more hours. They will never stop. Deep in the ship's lower decks, the situation is different. Third-class passengers are woken later, told less. Some stewards do their best, guide families upward through corridors they have never navigated before, through the labyrinth of a ship they were discouraged from exploring. But the gates between classes remain locked for precious minutes. Some third-class passengers find their own way up. Many cannot. The lifeboats begin loading. And here, the Titanic commits its second great crime. The first lifeboats lower into the water half empty. Lifeboat number 1 holds 65 people. It leaves the ship carrying 12. There is room in the lifeboats for everyone. The problem is not capacity. The problem is time. Part 5. 2:20 a.m. The stern rises, slowly at first, then faster. The bow has been pulling the ship down for 90 minutes, and now gravity takes over completely. The deck tilts past 30 degrees, past 40. Deck chairs slide, glasses shatter. People slide, people fall. People hold onto railings with both hands and watch others fall past them into the darkness. The lights flicker once, then go out. The Titanic breaks in 2. The bow section tears away and plunges straight down. The stern section rises almost vertical, silhouetted against those extraordinary stars, and for a moment, it simply stands there. Then it too goes down. And then, the sound from the water. 1,500 voices. Part 6. 2 endings. History gives us 2 versions of what happens to you. Ending A. You are in a lifeboat. You are one of the 710. You don't know yet if that makes you lucky. You are sitting in a lifeboat that is less than half full, and you are watching the most beautiful ship ever built disappear into the North Atlantic. The sounds from the water are the worst thing you have ever heard. Your lifeboat does not go back. Later, for the rest of your life, you will think about this. You were 30 meters away from 1,500 people dying in the water, and your boat went away from them. You will justify this. You will not forgive yourself for it. The Carpathia arrives at 4:10 a.m. She pulls 710 survivors from the lifeboats. You climb the ladder. You are wrapped in a blanket by a stranger who asks if you are all right. You have no answer for that question. Ending B. You are in the water. The cold hits you like a wall. Not gradually, all at once. Every nerve in your body screaming simultaneously. You are surrounded by 1,500 people in the same water. The noise is extraordinary. Then, over the next 30 minutes, it gets quieter. One voice at a time. You focus on one thing. Stay at the surface. Keep moving. Don't stop. The stars above you are still extraordinary. They haven't changed. They don't care. The cold moves from pain to numbness. Numbness to something almost peaceful. You think about the dock at Southampton. The smell of coal smoke and salt water and possibility. You think about the word on all the brochures. Unsinkable. The stars above you don't move. The water holds you gently. And the last thing you feel, before the cold takes everything, is the impossible stillness of an ocean at night that has just swallowed the greatest ship ever built and doesn't even notice. They were told the ship was unsinkable. 1,517 people paid the price for that word.